Boys is getting quiet. Going to get crunk. Head back to Longview, Kelly popping trunk. I ain't even tripping. Riding and I'm sipping. Let me come through 4-4 steady tipping. On that new lap. Watch the trunk crack. Let me sit sideways, CB running back. Maybe AP, maybe AD. I ain't even tripping cause we some athletes. Messing with Smitty in the summertime. He get pissed if we don't make our time. But we gon' get it cause we gotta finish. Nebraska Horn Hustlers, man, we diminish. Put them boys little, paint like a skittle. I ain't even tripping, I ain't never double dribble. Cause I'm a player from the Himalaya. Let me sit sideways, man. Maybe back door, maybe fall off. Sipping codeine cause I gotta kill a cough. Let me sit sideways in the big Benz. Oh, you boys, they my brothers, they my friends.
All right, welcome into Fullback U, and honored to have my big bro, I won't say older bro, because you look younger than me, but my bro, Jeff Frazier. Jeff, how you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good, and yes, I am big bro as far as age. Getting old, dude. Getting old.
You're practically one of my mentors. I don't know how you feel about that comparison or analogy, and so, but I appreciate you, and we become really good friends, so this will be a great pod. But just tell people what you're up to these days.
These days, the past 14 years or so, I've been involved in insurance as an agency owner. Been selling personal lines, commercial lines, and doing life and a little bit of investment. So that has definitely kept me busy. Making a few changes, and so now there's another challenge in that. Just whenever, when you're a business owner, there's always going to be some type of challenge, and just in life, period. I mean, raising kids, dealing with family, relationships, there's always going to be that next challenge. And so that's all I'm doing right now, just putting one foot in front of another and keep it going.
And we've kind of, and I want to get into it a little bit later, but we've met or ran into each other a little bit in your new venture. You've gotten to see Coach JD in action, but you are now a ref. So how's that going for you?
That's going good. Just started last year. And how that all started, I have a son, 11 years old, and so the relationship between son and dad coaching is a little bit tricky. So a couple years ago, I would coach them in 7-on-7. So I've done that the past 2 summers, but that kind of like lit a fire back up in me. I was like, hey, I want to be around the sport. Giving my profession as far as doing insurance, I don't have the time to coach full time. So I wanted to find a way to get back into sports, and I knew some officials, reached out to them, and then that got me involved. And yes, that's a whole nother world.
Yeah, I appreciate you not throwing me out the game yet. So thank you for that.
I remember the one conversation. I was like, JD, I have to throw a flag.
I was disheartened. Go ahead.
It wasn't on you, though. It wasn't on you.
Yeah.
Against your team, yes, but I had to throw a flag.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, our guys, and you know me, I'm not a yeller. I'm not typically a yeller, not typically an arguer, but our guys, we've got to learn when to play to the whistle and when not to. And it's I'm sure you've seen it, but it's tough getting to, you don't want to overcoach the kids, but you want to coach them to finish the play.
Definitely. And it's interesting, having been a player and then actually coached a year or 2 down in Texas, did the 7-on-7 coaching, and then now seeing it through a different lens as an official. It is very, very interesting. And so, yes, as a player, I want the players to complete the play. But as an official, you still have to protect people and make sure you do the things the right way.
Well, you mentioned being a player. You were an amazing player. I grew up hearing about you, and the people that told me you were great were great. So that means your ass was great. Okay, just so you know, when Lynn Sexton, Damon Turner, and the Gaddises of the world say that Jeff Frazier can roll, when Ricky Brady tells me, like he texted me the other day saying that you would have, I'm going to read that text here in a little bit, because you've said the same thing about him as a basketball player. We have to get into that. But when those people tell me you're great, you were great. Right? Take me back. What was it like at Westmoore, Oklahoma City, growing up, all that?
Yeah, and which I'd never consider my greatness. And still don't consider myself great now. Was I a talent in Oklahoma? Did I like to compete? Absolutely. Could I talk smack like the rest of them? Yes. But sometimes I do it in a quiet way. But grew up in Oklahoma City, went to Oklahoma City Public Schools. Shout out to Wheeler, which Wheeler's now middle school. or junior high there in Oklahoma City. But I went to Wheeler Elementary and then Jackson Middle School. And then I moved out to Moore Schools in ninth grade. So I'm not even going to say that year.
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all have to look that up.
Ninth grade. Just ninth grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just growing up, I did football, and that's where it all started. Mom, she had 2 boys at that particular time. I had an older brother, and she took us to field one day, say, hey, y'all go out and play. Mm-hmm. Northeast Optimist T-Birds.
Yeah, I love it.
Didn't know anything about it, but that was my introduction, and that's where it started. Yeah. Just kindergarten, playing football, and then slowly graduated into track, and then basketball. Although sometimes I thought my basketball skills were better than what they really were.
Right.
And that's all of us.
Right.
But those were my beginnings, football, track, and then basketball.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure, you mentioned that football was a big part of you. I'm sure you had offers from everywhere in the country. You ended up going to OU, but just take me through the recruiting process for you. Coaches that you got to know, who'd you turn down? Give me all that.
Recruiting was interesting. Just based on the offense that we ran back in the day. We pretty much did something similar to run and shoot. So if you remember Houston, Cougars back in 1990, 1989, they did a one-back, and it was primarily passing. As far as the run goes, it was zone plays. And so I didn't get a lot of carries, to be honest with you, my sophomore, junior year, not because of the ability, but the scheme. Mm-hmm. We would throw a lot of slants, stops, quick outs, and so the running game was really to complement the passing. So heading into senior year, same thing was going on, and actually at one point it's funny to me, and that may speak more about our team at the time, because we lost a couple of games we probably shouldn't have. So I had more return yards than rushing yards.
I get it.
They were kicking the ball off.
Totally
There was a lot scoring on
Yeah.
us. But then they're halfway through the season. They started to feed me the rock some more, started to get a little bit more attention. And so you had the likes of Miami, USC, Colorado, K-State, Missouri, of course, OU, OSU. Texas was there just for a hot minute, but they ended up switching coaches, and so that kind of faded away. But yeah, no, I mean, the recruiting process was very interesting.
How'd your mom take it? How'd you handle it? Do you have any advice for kids going through that these days? Do they really want to listen to you? Let me know.
Oh, I can give advice, but my situation's a little bit different. Just like any kid coming from Oklahoma City, you have your struggles, your ups and downs. But overall, looking back on it, I came from a fortunate situation. So there wasn't a whole lot of pariahs out there taking advantage of me, at least trying to, except for one. I can give you one example that tried to take advantage, and they probably did. But outside of that, I mean, mine was kind of a nonchalant recruiting process. People would come by. You got the people that come to your school. You walk in the cafeteria and you got like these coaches around. So, yeah, that kind of pumped up your ego just a little bit. But outside of that, mine was a relatively smooth recruiting process. And then just me as a personality, I try not to let it get to me. Like, I really only went to 3 recruiting visits.
Okay.
I got tired of it.
Yeah.
I got tired of it. Weekend after weekend, this and that. I'm like, me personally, that's not how I live my life. I'm kind of to myself. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do all this stuff. So I cut it short.
Yeah. So why OU? And then let me know what it was like when you got there.
Ooh, why OU? Man. Shout out to OU basketball. 1988. I was rocking with them boys.
Wayman Tisdale now?
No,
After Wayman?
After. Ricky Grace, Blaylock,
Mookie,
Stacy, hey, Billy Tubbs, Seeger, popping them threes. And then grew up, watching Terry Evans. So given that Oklahoma City connection, I have some family members that went to Millwood and worked at Millwood. And so I was an OU basketball fan.
That's what's up.
Football, yes, I paid attention to them boys. Shout out to the 85, 86 crew. Definitely paid attention to them. But I just grew up being a OU basketball fan. And then looking at the landscape, one of the schools that I strongly considered, UCLA and Colorado. I was bold enough as a kid. I called UCLA. I was like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, just in case.
Hey, and they put me on the back burner and said, hey, we already got our guy.
Dang.
So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then it came down between Colorado and OU, and then just being close to home. Because literally where I grew up, there in South Oklahoma City, Moore area, 15-minute drive.
If that, yeah.
If you miss the traffic.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And then, so what was it about Colorado? Well, that was, obviously, they were pretty dang good. I remember Cordell Stewart coming up probably not too many years after that, Rashawn Salam. They had some beasts. Was that Bieniemy? Was it around your time?
Well, that was after Bieniemy. Cordell Stewart, he's a year ahead of me. Salam, we're the same year. Actually, our recruiting visit, I was there with Salam.
Man.
And then Big Bob Sapp ended up going to a...
Big Bob.
We were on the same recruiting trip, but he ended up going to Washington, big lineman. And then, yeah, Google him, YouTube him.
People, but super producer Bradbury will hook it up. But for what you're trying to get into is he became a damn street fighter.
Yeah.
And he was just whooping everybody. I mean, he's like, how big was he? He looks like 6'8", like 400 pounds on TV.
6'5", 6'6", all of 350. But hey, he got too big.
I was gonna say
he get tired fast.
I was gonna say shit. If he don't knock your ass out within a minute,
yeah,
you gonna win. Your chances are up. Well, that's awesome. What on this show we've had a lot of, and you weren't Schmitty, so you could talk about who it was. But your first workout at OU, what was that like? What was your first year like? Just let me know what the running back room was like.
Yeah, and which I'll get to that in just one sec. Just to back up just a little bit on the recruiting trip. Kind of one of the other things that was a deciding factor in why I didn't go to Colorado. And shout out to them boys. I mean, they're just doing what they do. But, man, out of all the recruiting visits I took, them boys was talking mad-ish about OU.
Really?
Yeah.
Colorado was?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ready to get that work, huh?
Unapologetic. And that turned me off a little bit. But unapologetic, that turned me off. So I said, okay, well then I'm going to go to this school and, I'll see you on the field.
Where were those guys from in Salam? Were they from around there? Or were they California guys? Or
Salam was California.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure where Cordell was from. I can't remember. Oh, there's another story I have to tell you about that off the air.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's that recruiting visit story.
Yeah, they've been in the news recently. That's all I'm saying. So maybe they've been passing down traditions is all I'm saying. I don't know.
But then, heading into the first year, and man, that first workout, drastically different. And which things have changed now. You got kids working out earlier now and junior high and high school. I really didn't lift weights until probably my sophomore year.
Same here.
Man, I was so weak, Weak. Like, how the kids say it, bro.
Bro.
Or bruh.
Bro. Yeah, bruh.
Oh, sophomore year, I'm lifting maybe 145. I ain't touched the weight. 145, and that was a struggle. And so being there at Westmoore, sophomore, junior, senior year, definitely got better. But there's still a difference between high school
Huge difference.
and college.
Big difference.
Ooh.
Big difference.
That first summer workout, I probably missed a couple of days because I was so sore. I couldn't move my arms.
Yeah.
Triceps were gone. Running, conditioning, whole different level. You're talking about being sore. But at that particular point, you have a decision to make. Is this what you want to do?
You gonna quit or not?
Right.
Who was y'all strength coach? Who was some of the strongest guys on the team? Who made you feel like you weren't strong at all?
When I first got there, Pete Martinelli, which long-time OU guy. And I think Joe
Jurassic.
Yeah, well, he may have been there, but then he left. But then he came back. So my years are kind of blending together. And then Blair Prince was there. Mm-hmm. Then we had a couple others. But yeah, no, it's just a whole different world. And then just seeing firsthand, up close, 6'5" with abs.
Who we talking? Bob?
Oh, there's a whole bunch of people. One of the, as far as physical specimen, Aubrey Beavers.
Oh, yeah, man.
6'3", probably had 3.5% body fat. Just a beast.
Yeah.
And a linebacker.
Yeah.
So it's eye opener, and it's a shock to your system. You ain't scared. At least I wasn't scared. But it is a shock when you first see that speed. You're like, "Oh, it's a different level."
Oh, they hitting. They hitting. Okay.
Hey, would you be in a running back?
Yeah.
Ooh, hold on. You see that hole? And it closes
like that. Yeah.
Oh,
Who's next? Jeff, you up? JD? Oh shit. Ooh, here we go. Mention that. What was the 2-a-days like? What was the physicality like? What was the defenses like? I've heard the defenses. You mentioned Aubrey. Some of those guys were real deal.
Man, I always ran, just giving my track background. So the running, the 2-a-days, that didn't hurt me all that much. I mean, yeah, you go through that first week just like everybody else, and you're working muscles differently like you used to, and so you're a little bit sore. But then if you can work through that lactic acid, man, I was cool with that. So I really wasn't pressed on that once I got into the routine as far as what the expectation was. That part was cool. But, hey, the practices were a little bit more intense. Now, that was the difference. The practice itself.
Oh, yeah.
No. Offensively. Hey, if you listen to me, fellas, hold on to the ball. Before, after the whistle, them defensive dudes, they're going to come by and knock it out. Hey, and if it goes on the ground, that's on you. That is on you. So I learned that early. Protect the ball.
Yeah.
Hold it at all times.
At all costs.
Even after they blow the whistle.
Yeah. Going back to the huddle.
Yes, that ball does not hit the ground. So just learning little things like that.
Finishing the runs, I would imagine 40 yards downfield compared to just 10 yards.
Yeah, 10, 20. You get a good burst, you're good. No.
Wherever we are, I want you to. You want to score a touchdown in the game, right? So I want you to score a touchdown from no matter where we are.
And it's not that you run, complete a play, but then you have to get back because you're coming back in the rotation. So it's little things like that, and then the extra time. I think we spent more time. Jug machines, summer. Those are some of the little things I learned. Just the difference between high school and college.
That's awesome. Fun runs that you had, touchdown stories, spring game, real game, whatever you got.
Man, I got hurt too many times. Yeah, for those folks that don't know my complete story, played 92 to 95. Like I said, played a couple of games. Oh, fun story. Speaking of the first game. So 1992 came in as a freshman. So we're traveling on the road. I mentioned to you earlier.
You don't get to play as a freshman if you're not good, Jeff. I'm just letting you know.
I didn't start.
You don't get to play as a freshman if you're not good. This is OU, okay? Just letting you know.
What was exciting to me, it was because I'm naive, 18-year-old, don't know much about the college game, this and that, or the college world, and I make the travel squad. Oh, I was pumped. And I almost bought my travel suit just to make fun of, because I looked at it, it was like Sahara. It's not Nike, nothing like, just some off-brand, and it was block colors.
Right.
So I was excited, 1992, make the travel squad, and we go out to, you know about this, Texas Tech.
Oh, absolutely. That's funny.
My first college game was out in Lubbock. And so you're getting warmed up. And, in high school, at least where I was at, we weren't in Texas, so I wasn't dealing with 20,000 crowd or 10, 15,000, nothing like that. We may have 1,000, 1,500. Get out to Lubbock, and even though Lubbock's a smaller stadium, I think at that time they were doing 30, 40, something like that.
Yeah.
Distinct difference.
Yeah.
We're out there warming up an hour before this and that. Crowd haven't quite filled in yet. Go back into the locker room. Then you come out for the real deal.
Getting rowdy.
Totally different.
Getting rowdy.
Oh, these folks were throwing tortillas at it.
Right.
I've never seen this. Horse riding around, tortillas being thrown. I'm like, man, what is going on? So that was kind of shock. And back then, the games weren't on TV like they are now. Well, basically every single game's on TV.
Right.
But this game, it was on TV, ESPN. And so I ended up making an appearance and gave me the ball a couple of times. Did one little move. I mean, I didn't think it was all that much, but apparently it excited some of the older cats, and they gave me dap on the sidelines. So to me, that was confirmation. It was confirmation, even though it wasn't started and nothing like that at that point. But it was like, hey, you can do this.
Right. Yeah.
You belong.
Absolutely. Talk about your injuries. I mean, man, I know it's a brutal game. Playing running back then is not easy. I mean, you talking about a position. Me seeing some of our running backs having to go to the cold tub after the game let me know that I wasn't ready for running back.
Well, on injuries, and this is what I would stress upon, the advancement of the high school evaluation, the high school treatment and trainers. Because looking back on it, some of the problems I had with my shoulder, and that's where it started with my shoulder, some of that started in high school. What you think is a stinger may be more than a stinger. And so my freshman year there at OU, shoulder surgery, ended up having a hole in the back of my shoulder, posterior subluxation. So basically, head of the humerus will pop out the back. So they had to sew all that back up. And so that happened my sophomore year. And really, that was kind of a blessing. Because I spoke about, weightlifting and how that was different. That gave me an off season, during season, to get strong. So even if you do have an injury or setback, take advantage of it. Man, I got my legs right, hips right, got some more explosiveness, and then got my upper body right. And after that shoulder injury, coming into that spring 93, I ended up being named a starter after the spring. So redshirt freshman going into the fall of 1993, I'm like, okay, I'm here. I got a taste of it, 92, confirmed that you can do this. You work harder, get better. And it's like, okay, now let's do this. And that Tuesday before the season opener, simple pass. Sometimes Kel feels bad about it now. To this day, he'll come up and say something to me whenever I see him. But it was my fault to begin with. Pre-practice, we running through some drills, kind of doing like a 2-minute drill, getting up, and he called mesh. I ran the wrong route, and so I'm like, man, that's my fault. Came back, ran it again, ran the right route. He threw it slightly behind me. Not that it happens all the time, and my foot just got caught in the grass at the wrong spot and knee gone. Tuesday before season opener, and you're named the starter. That whole season done.
Yeah, that's tough, man. And let me ask you this: depression. Did you battle any of it? How'd you handle it? Do you have any advice for guys that I know I may have hit because I dealt with it, and even as a successful guy, but talk as little or as much as you want about it.
Oh, probably looking back on it, which one time I recognized there was a little bit of depression going on. Coming off of the knee injury, the first one, I didn't respond. My body didn't respond like I thought it would. Body did not respond like I thought it would. I'm doing everything possible, working out, rehabbing, and it just wasn't working. So when I blew knee out in 93, come spring 94, man, I couldn't practice.
Wasn't the same.
No, I couldn't get out there and practice. I was still rehabbing at that point, and that crushed me. I mean, like I couldn't do it. I couldn't bounce back until, as far as like some depression, I probably could have talked to somebody, and which things have changed because I think they have somebody down there now. In which at that time we didn't. No fault of anybody's, but we know a lot more now. Learned a lot more. And
totally different era too. You were soft if you got hurt, if you were this, if you were that. They just treated you totally different. You didn't want to be in the training room back then.
That goes to my second injury on the knee. I worked myself to death because it's one of those deals. Hey, you miss practice. Oh, you're going to lose some playing time. So you have to
Gotta get back.
force yourself, get yourself back. But speaking of, I spoke to a trainer. He was a grad assistant back then. Shout out to Jim Raynor. Jim Raynor, the trainer.
Jim Raynor.
Yeah, he's out in Missouri. But him being a grad assistant, and then me, what little I knew of football, OU football and culture and stuff like that, and then from the outside, but now that I'm seeing it from the inside, yes, that's what it was. OU football 80s, depth chart. 1, 2 could have been a starter. 3 can be a starter. Yeah. So this is what happens. If one goes down, they ain't worried about rehab all that much.
Right.
Because guess what? They got 2 and 3 to replace you. And so there's some things that we've gotten better at over the years, but back then, yeah, no, if you got hurt and if you couldn't make it back, they got somebody else waiting.
A few more things has been great. You're a part of, and a vital part. We actually met through our secret Facebook group back in the day. So fans won't be able to get into it, but I started this group for former OU players. Before we added you, we didn't have many of the guys that were your age. Now it's spread to over like 400 guys. So thank you for that. It's been pretty hilarious with that. Do you have any funny memories of that? Do you have, again, thank you for just bringing your guys in and just tell me what the rooms meant.
Well, see, part of that, kind of joke around, but not. I say, like us in the 90s, it was kind of depression years. So yes, we're all a family, OU brothers, from top to bottom, but there are levels to it. Just like I can't just walk on the field right now. Some players that can walk. Hey, there are levels to it.
20 deep. 20 deep. Excuse me, can you stay right? But what about him? He got 20 people. It was different. It's different. He got 20 people as AD, okay? So just JD.
Yeah.
That's where the Twitter name comes from. Just JD. That's it.
So there are levels to it. And then if you were a 90s guy, like, oh, man.
Ooh, yeah. What kind of championships y'all brought?
What?
Trophies? Rings?
No conference championship. I'm not even on the championship level. Now we're talking about conference championship.
That's messed up.
So sometimes you feel like, hey, man, they don't want to hear what I have to say. And so, oh, man, there was one year. It was kind of funny. I bonded with the 60s dudes.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
We went to an event because I'm like, oh, they just like me.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will say, just from what I've seen in the room, and you can talk about this, the 2 things that I will say about you guys' class, very passionate about OU, high expectations.
Oh, no. So let me set the record straight on that. Even though in the 90s we didn't accomplish what we wanted to accomplish, the expectations were there. I mean, we challenged each other. Man, the talent was there. We had a lot of talented dudes.
Who, name us some guys played there that you remember. NFL guys that just really good football players.
Man, Reggie Barnes, Kenyon Rashid, Cedric Jones.
You mentioned Brewer earlier.
Brewer was before, yes, Lawton, Alexander, Stephen, Martin Chase. Oh, what's my guy? Rod played on the defensive line. And, man, just a plethora. James Allen. Hey, shout out to J.A.
Yeah, hey, Winniewood, baby.
James Allen. And then, Gerald Moore played in the league, too. So, I mean, all these. A lot of cats played in the NFL. A lot of cats with talent. But we didn't accomplish the goals that we wanted to. But as far as passion, expectation, that ain't never gonna change.
Right.
That's there. So with you starting that group on Facebook was good. Now we'll get some of us older guys back into the fold. And I know there's some fun stuff going back and forth between, man, y'all ain't work hard.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, y'all ain't got no equipment. Y'all wasn't running hard. That's the funny part. It's like we was all probably doing the same shit, just in a different spot.
Right.
But yeah, it's hilarious hearing that. And then for us, I think, or just for the younger guys, I think it's just good to hear that you guys sacrificed the same way that we did. Because there were so many times where I'm just looking like, damn, man, I don't know if anybody's ever felt like this.
Hey, no, man, it'd be hurting. Oh my goodness, you hurt. But I also want to thank you. Hold on, I should have said this earlier. Thank you for the opportunity for getting me on. I definitely appreciate it. Man, but I got to give a shout out to all the Oklahoma boys that played at OU.
No doubt. Local guys.
Because yes, there's level to it, and these Texas boys think they they think they run stuff. Love you guys, but no. We hold our own here in Oklahoma. So jumping back to some Oklahoma athletes, Ricky Brady. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I'm a sophomore. So Ricky's 2 years older than me. And I tried to play basketball. I can still hoop you. If you want to come see me, but
you ready?
But I wasn't like college level ready. So I had played a JV game at that point. My sophomore year, wasn't on varsity, and sitting in the stands watching. We're playing PC West, and Ricky Brady. He was like, ooh. He did this reverse slam, but made it look so smooth on somebody.
Oh yeah.
He down under low post, he reversed it, spun, and came out on the other side. I'm like, ooh, that's nice. And the funny story about that, Gary Gibbs was in the stands watching him.
Yeah. I'm going to tell Ricky, first of all, I got to read the text message that he said. And he says, but just for the record, Jeff Frazier would have been on. I was asking him to come to the podcast. So we're going to do one soon. But he said had to go somewhere with his family. He said, for the record, Jeff would have been on the short list for superstar running backs at OU. Hated to see him get hurt. Great teammate. Glad I got to play with him. Let's connect soon. That's what he said, not me.
Appreciate it, Ricky. I don't know about superstar. I would have held my own.
Yeah.
I would have held my own.
And then just so Ricky knows, he's on the short list. He is actually on the short list of white dudes that got credit from brothers about hooping at the Huff. I mean, they was like, dog, Ricky and Jay White were like two of the only, and from what I've heard, Sam Bradford, it's like you can't come up in here just thinking you're going to run thing. But they said, like, dudes was like, Ricky Brady. No.
I'm telling you. I saw that since high school. I'm like, hey, don't sleep on Ricky Brady in basketball.
That's real.
Ooh.
That's real. You mentioned you brought your son. I'm thankful for you bringing him. If you haven't heard, my super producer, Brad Reed, did a great breakdown. My son was talking shit to me about Fortnite at a podcast the other day. And I'm like, that's all right. Let's race, But anyway, I want to know if your son was to say, hey, Dad, I'm ready to race you. One, how you feeling about that? And two, what's he gonna say? Hey man, I want to know your all-time fastest. What do I got to shoot for me to say I was faster than Dad?
Ooh, I don't run. Oh, speaking of refereeing, yo, I don't run like I used to. There's levels to officiating. So whenever you're starting off, you'll work a wing. And some of these young cats, because the defense may not be that good, so these offense, they may break a long run. Hold on. Go. I did a hamstring. But I couldn't show it. Couldn't show it.
Just got a trot. Smooth trot.
So to answer your question as far as would I race my son right now, if he challenged me, I would probably talk enough smack to make him back down. And
get him out of his game.
Right. And so, speaking of that, basketball. Mm-hmm. We just played a couple games this past weekend, so he wanted to challenge me to that. I'm thinking he's talking about PS4. I'm like, okay, we can do that.
He's like, nah, take it outside.
Well, yes. Hey, at the end, get off my court. Oh yeah, I had to tell him that. So still have challenges, and he's learning. But what he told me was, what did he tell me yesterday? He said, "Oh, wait till I'm 6'4". Ooh. But I'm like, you might not even get 6'4".
Yeah, I don't know. He's trending.
He's tall kid. But I'm like, if you're gonna wait until you're 6'4", you're gonna take a whole lot of L's.
Yeah, that's a long wait.
Right. You better learn some other skills.
That's awesome.
Take advantage.
That's awesome. Talk about, if you don't mind, your opinion on kids in sports. I want people to hear that because you are a ref and you're a dad. So putting your kid in football, putting your kid certain sports. What do you feel about that?
First, sports, good, active, get them out from front of these computers and screens, which it's fine they do it. My kid does it and does it too much like every other kid, but he is still out there and active. So first and foremost, just have your kids active and be able to communicate and relate with others. And have a common goal, something bigger than yourself. Yes, you want to have your individual goals, but have another goal that's bigger than yourself, and you can work as a collective. So that, first and foremost. Me being a dad, little bit different because now I'm thinking about the different sports. Because we got the stuff about football. Not opposed to son playing football, but I'll be honest with you, I held him out early on. I told you earlier that, my mom put me in football when I was in kindergarten, 5 years old. Started playing when I was 5. I didn't want to do that with him, so we did other sports. His mom was more of a, softball, baseball fan, so he's been playing baseball since he's 5. And then
He brought his glove with him today.
What? He got a new
He's
glove?
ready to go.
He's breaking
ready
it
to
in.
go.
So we do that, and I tell him, y'all don't run.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, practice got canceled on Friday because it was rain.
Yeah.
So I just mess with them about different sports. So that basketball and did some 7-on-7 the past 2 summers. And then at a certain point, certain age, and to me, it's about the development of your child. You have to watch your child because football is not for everybody. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't want to put your child in a position. And we're not even talking about just getting hurt. We're just talking about being able to play and compete. So I just sit back, watch him, evaluate him, and at some point, if he tells me he wants to play, okay. But I'm going to let him know this is what you're getting into because, hey, it's a contact sport, ladies and gentlemen.
Very.
It's a contact sport.
You saw a different level of contact, too. And that's probably one of the things that keeps you reserved, I would imagine.
Right. So right now, he's 11, be 12 later this year. If he comes up to me and if he says this, what he really wants to do, I'm okay. And we'll work towards that.
I like it. Are you proud of me? I made it an entire show and didn't ask you about the coronavirus, but I'm going to have to ask you about it now. How you feel? Don't worry, we disinfected the microphones and everything. We're not Rudy Gobert. I haven't seen ran into my brother or anything who ran into the Utah Jazz.
I know. I was sitting there thinking about that.
They made my brother out to be a villain. I ain't gonna say.
Well, see, I didn't hear everything, but I think I heard the AD. I think it was the AD.
OSSAA. They dropped him in. I mean, we're famous now. They dropping Dale City High School coach Lenny Hatchett did this.
Oh
blah, blah,
no!
blah, blah.
I mean, I've seen so much stuff on social media about how would they bring this player here knowing he didn't know he was infected.
Well, it only happens because he came on the podcast. If you have something's going to happen to you and you're going to be in the news as like popular. So just get ready. Lenny was on the podcast a week ago. He becomes popular. You're on the podcast now. Just get ready for it. You got something to sell?
Ooh.
Insurance, baby.
Well, see, it's a cheap sell, but if y'all are worried about coronavirus, life insurance, holla at your boy.
See, we a plug. We got to get your website and everything. But no, man, Jeff, thank you so much. Just gonna be an awesome podcast. You guys, I want to say it while you're here because there's a lot of guys in our Facebook group that are going to say this. I appreciate all of these guys. It may not always come off like that. We all get passionate, and when the defense gives up 50 points, it's 50 too many.
Right?
But you there's been some funny ass games that we've been on there for. I'm gonna have to tag Malin Wesley, but the Tavon Austin game up in West Virginia.
Oh my!
I didn't think Malin Wesley was gonna survive that
dude.
night.
No, I'm sitting there yelling at the TV. I try not to yell too much on Facebook, but hey, that game right there.
Yeah.
Come on now.
It was something else.
I was like, I can get out there and play defense.
Yeah. But it's so we're gonna have to put some of those screenshots up, Brad. I'll send them to you. But too many fun games, too many. It's. But then there's been some good times. When they beat Alabama, it seemed like everybody was pretty happy. Tradition and all that. But we haven't been too happy lately, Jeff.
Well, yeah. When we beat Alabama, shout out to Myron Pope. Won Alabama, I think 90-91. Just left Oklahoma to go back to Alabama. But hey, I was at his house talking mad-ish that game. So yes, we're still very proud of our team. OU. Would we like a few more big game victories? Yes, absolutely. But big world perspective, we can't win them all.
It's real.
You can't. So what we like to see is the fight. And so let's go ahead and get us another one.
Last question. What do we got to do to get on top? What do we got? We just need new recruiting, new coaches. What you think we need?
Well, I'm not on the inside. So coaching, I would like to think at this level, if they're getting paid this much money, that, as far as X's and O's, that they know what they're doing. Now, as far as managing personalities, I'm not there, so that I do not know. But kind of one of the other bottom line thing is talent. And when I say that, that's not to say that they don't have talent now. There's a lot of talented dudes. Just to make it to this level, you have to have talent. And so when I say talent, I'm speaking of difference makers.
Elite talent.
Difference makers. Hey, when you talk about those 4 or 5 to 10 plays that make a difference in the game, that key sack, that tackle for loss, but then now becomes a tackle for loss, strip fumble, and we recover. It's those plays.
Yeah, the player that makes the safety miss and ends up scoring, that doesn't get tackled in the open field. The corner that makes the home run tackle that runs a 4-3. I could go into it, Jeff. Bottom line, our testing numbers, I think, showed this year that we're not getting the guys that everybody else is. Our top receiver runs 4.5. Our top linebacker runs 4.5. We're not having. Granted, one of our top D linemen ran extremely fast, but bro, Bama, they've got 3 receivers faster than we've got one of. LSU's got 3 receivers faster than we've got one of. Not that's not all that matters, but when you're pumping out 4.3s and 4.4s and we're struggling to get guys 4.5, that's a big difference. You're a speed guy.
Oh, no, yeah. No, it definitely is a big difference. It may not seem like a lot, but the difference between that 4.42 and that 4.55, hey, and those are home run hitters.
Right.
A difference between a 4-yard gain and a 20-yard gain. And that's how you move the chains. That's how you score. Defensively, that's how you can even recover. You get beat. Do you have the speed to come back and recover and to do a breakup, PBU, something like that? So definitely talent, speed, and then, this is a whole nother conversation, just talking about who has that dog in it.
Physicality.
Who has that dog in it.
Physicality. No, I'm with you there. Well, I will say there's the teams that are winning it seem to find those things, Jeff. I mean, like I said, LSU, they had tough defenders and speed. Bama every year has tough defenders and speed. Bama's second or third receiver ran 4.27. Laser.
Right.
I mean,
well, and that really counts. That matters. From me looking at OU, we'll go special teams. Just one small example. I think we played it safe on return. Make sure that it's ball security. So we get guys that can catch it, don't fumble, don't turn it over. That's good. Keep the ball and we rely on the offense. What if we had like a 4-2 guy back there?
Player. Yeah.
Flip the field.
Yeah.
Or even score.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm with you there. Man, Jeff, we can go all day. I appreciate you, brother. And best of luck refereeing, and hopefully More West gets all the calls. I totally understand if they don't. But, I won't be yelling at you either way. We're just, like you said, we're in it for the right reasons, trying to develop the kids. And just hoping to get them to listen. Maybe take a shower after the game. That whole deal. Love them to death. But, I mean, it's that age, bro. What we need to shower for?
Hold on. In my own house.
Right. Mine too. I make that joke too. It's my kid too. I'll be wrestling with him like, oh God, Lord. Oh yeah. So no doubt. But no, great kids, great community. We're blessed to have you reffing up there. So appreciate you coming by. And definitely come back again.
Man, thank you. Thank you for having me, Jetty.
No problem, dude. Super producer Brad Reed will hook up some highlights for you. We'll have to get some Westmoore VHS tapes from you. See,
VHS. They're definitely VHS.
Yeah, are they VHS? Okay.
Speaking of Corona,
let's go.
Are we still on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, speaking of that,
go ahead.
Hey, there's no live sports going on, so in which I didn't watch a whole lot of live sports as I gotten older, but I would watch the highlights. But now the games aren't being played. I can't watch highlights. Yeah. So I almost broke out the VCR yesterday.
See, hey, I got the VCR in the living room already ready. Okay, so whenever you got the clip, just send me a little clip. We'll get producer Brad Reed to put it on there, and it'll be great. But I know you got plenty of big time runs on there, and I'm excited to see what Westmoore looked like in your era. I'm not gonna say the year. In your era.
Why was that when it first started?
There we go. That's plenty to say. Plenty to say. Another great episode of Fullback U.
Welcome back to Fullback U. I am Brad Reed with JD Runnels. JD, we've had a lot of news go on in the last week, so I wanted to cover a few things with you. Trey Sermon, he enters the transfer portal. I want to find out your thoughts on, why he's doing that. Also, what's next for him?
Well, rumors started that he was going to Ohio State. Who knows why or how that popped up, but just on Twitter, and he didn't have the year that he probably wanted last year. Us having Bullware last year, and now he's at Texas. I'm assuming that Trey thought, new coach, or had, he was recruited by this guy and played for this guy, and now he's got this new coach, and his reps didn't go the way he wanted last year, so he's trying to go finish out the way he hopefully wants to. Again, it sounds like everybody on Twitter is reporting that something with Ohio State, so which has Kevin Wilson, who is my old line coach, is one of their coaches out there. I'd like to see Trey finish well. He had, with the injury last year, he has shown flashes of being a really, really solid running back. He did a lot of great work here. Lastly, it just a lot of times means what we always say on this show, man, is that
right.
we're deep at OU. It doesn't always hold true in every position, but at running back, it's always almost true. Running back, they have a lot of guys, Brad, that are really, really good, and one we know really well in Marcus Major. I mean, he's special. Once you see him, he's special. And I would imagine if you go through through an injury like that, coming back, we don't know what the suspension to Ramondre Stevenson's going to be. With Kennedy Brooks and Marcus. I mean, that's two good running backs, and with Trey, he deserves to go out on the way he wants to.
And what about recruiting wise? What do you think that does? Where does OU need to be now?
Well, they got a freshman coming in, Seth McGowan. With running back, there's always going to be the top guy is always going to look at OU. We always get an offensive line. We have a good quarterback here. We always have we always have a good fullback. That's why we have this show. So we're always going to have people that can run the ball here. For me, Brad, it's you. I feel like we're gambling when we lose kids or gain kids from the transfer portal, and I think we have to look at the totality of it. And I haven't even done the research on it, but we've lost a lot of kids to the transfer portal. We just have. We haven't really gained that many.
Right.
In certain positions, we've done well with the transfer portal. Obviously, quarterback, some with the offensive line, but we've lost a lot on defense. We've lost a lot skill wise. Something we got to really look at.
Recently, OU had their pro day, or I guess all the schools had their pro day, right? And I wanted to find out what your thoughts were, the highlights, lowlights for OU, and how they compared to other programs.
Well, not all schools had it because they got cut off, but most of them were. Thankfully, they got to have theirs. I love my school, Brad, but it was average. I mean, it wasn't what we're used to having. We didn't have elite speed there. We didn't have crazy amounts of power and draft picks galore that we're going to be used to. I mean, that's just being real. I mean, it's our times. Just to give people, and I love Piedmont. I think he's a great player. 4.5 is just it's a solid time, especially on laser. But other people are getting just faster guys than that. And I mean, when you look at across the board at Alabama and LSU and what those guys are getting, I mean, Bama's second receiver is running a 4.27. Right. I mean, that's a big difference between 4.2 and 4.5. Huge. And then you're like, JD, that's one team. Well, LSU had, I mean, what we saw against them, I mean, they've got 2 or 3 guys that were running 4.3, 4.4. I mean, it's a big difference, man. I mean, when you've got those guys in droves of, and lastly, I'll say this is OU's used to having the fastest guys in certain positions. You're used to hearing that at the combine, and at pro day, you're used to having guys that are talking about getting drafted. I mean, we may have one guy that worked out at there that'll get drafted, I would imagine. Hopefully Piedmont gets picked up. But I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, we're not experiencing, and I mean, we can be mad all we want, but we're not going to experience this year the type of draft that we're used to seeing. I mean, we're going to probably have 3 or 4 guys get drafted, and that's it. Right.
Is there a number one draft in your mind out there? I mean, do you have anybody who is just? I mean, if you're sure is going to be number one.
If you're Cincinnati, you got to take Burrow. I mean, they've already. I was up there with Carson Palmer for a little bit. Carson changed the entire city. Burrow can do that. He's amazing, dude. It's weird because I on this show I said that he reminds me a lot of Carson Palmer, and it's just weird how those deals work out. How some of his mannerisms, how he gets rid of the ball quick, the touch on his ball, the mental games that he plays. I see a lot of Carson in him. So
nice.
I think you got to take him. You got to have a quarterback in that league, and they've already talked about. I saw breaking news the other day. They talked about trading Andy Dalton. It sounds like they want Burrow.
Right on. So one of the things that I guess one of the biggest news stories this past week, it shut down a lot of sports.
Yeah.
The coronavirus. One thing that I think it's affecting OU right now, recruiting I think is on hold. I believe. Of course, the basketball team, the baseball, softball, it's all. I don't know if it's been canceled, but maybe just postponed. But
I think they've canceled them all.
Is it all canceled?
Yeah, I think so. But the big thing is if you are a recruit right now, I mean, you can't let your recruiting stop. You've got to still continue to try to make contact, whether it be FaceTime, emailing, whatever you got to do. Just to stay in contact with these coaches. Twitter helps out a ton because the coaches aren't going to stop recruiting. They're going to stop going on the road and things like that. I feel really bad for the guys that don't get to go to their pro day in college.
Yeah,
I feel bad for, hopefully the draft still happens. I feel bad if I feel bad for major leaguers, for spring, for the guys that are playing, as far as athletes, the minor league guys. But, I mean, this is hurting businesses everywhere.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I mean, it's hurting a lot of people. I hurt for my brother being put in a position where he didn't know that Donovan Mitchell had coronavirus. And, my brother was doing a good deed and ends up looking like, whoever. And I'm still pissed off that people seeing a picture didn't put two and two together that that's still my brother and that it's not just Donovan Mitchell. And
well, there was no way to blame your brother for any of that, and anybody who did, I'm just sorry. It wasn't the right thing to do. Yeah. I can understand people are upset about the whole virus and scared, and there's a lot of anxiety, but to blame him, that did absolutely nothing because who wouldn't want Donovan Mitchell to come to their school? I mean, they do that all the time. The Boys and Girls Club that I used to help out at, they have people come all the time. There was no way to know.
Well, and you're right. He's done that before too with numerous players. But beyond that, man, I mean, for people sharing the picture, one, that's his child,
right,
who's 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
And two, it's just people. It hurt me because people didn't put his health, they didn't make it a priority in the picture. Yeah. I mean, when you share somebody's picture like that if you are making it about a sickness, you should wish that person well.
Right.
You shouldn't just share the picture. Oh man, because it looks to me like you're just sharing it for clout,
right,
and trying to get likes and retweets.
Well, I got to ask, what does this do for the spring game? Is it officially canceled
That's
yet?
That's a great question. It's not.
Okay.
But I think if we put, my guess, Brad, is if there's any more pushback on class or anything like that, they're going to not have it. It's already become just, I don't want to say more for show. It's not a game anymore.
Right.
It's not what it used to be. It's not a full on tackle, hard playing. Sure, they play hard at certain places. There's not kickoffs where they used to be. There's not, there's just a lot of things that they don't do in spring games. So it's not something that they're going to particularly miss. I hate it for the fans if it does happen. But what I was going to say is if we have any more pushback or cancellations, I think it's going to be canceled just because it cuts into their training, cuts into their class, cuts into their preparation for the game, with spring practices and everything. And it's just, again, it's not as important as people's health in the season.
That's true too. If there is a spring game, and I would say hopefully there is, because that means we're through this a little bit by that time. If there is a spring game, we will be at Ryan Broyles' spot.
Yes,
porch.
He invited us out there, so we're excited about that. The
Yeah.
pod's moving on up, man.
Yeah, that'll be
like
fun.
The Jeffersons, you know what I'm saying, to the east side.
And like I say, for all the local businesses and all that, I really hope that is the case, that we have a spring game and all that.
Absolutely, because like you said, I'd been a business owner before. In that case, I mean, it'd be tough. I think my business personally would have been okay.
Yeah.
Just because it was small. It was very personal. there wasn't large groups of people except for pro day or
Yeah.
signing. I had 2 events a year where they would have large amounts of people. But man, just hurt for any businesses, any people that are losing money, losing jobs, things like that. That sucks, man.
It does. I'm kind of nervous about it in my own business,
Yeah.
so I'm sure a lot of people are.
People gonna stress smoke, so I wouldn't worry about it if I were you.
Well, they'll be joining me.
I'm just kidding.
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah. So you were saying though that it does cut into a few things. So by the time we get to fall, what are they going to have to do to overcome being off this time?
They'll be okay by that time. I mean, because you got summer and all those things. But I think now the big thing, Brad, is you just don't want to cram into spring to force something that isn't. You could wait on. You could not do. It's not. You know who else I feel bad for is the NCAA basketball players, man.
Oh,
NCAA,
shoot.
The March Madness is huge for everybody. Bracketology.
Oh, my gosh.
It's a part of everybody's lifestyle. But I'm going to sound weird when I say this. It almost feels like it was time for us to take a break.
Right. To get like perspective on things, or
I mean, because sports are so nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's nonstop. It's what's sports next. It's what's sports next. It's what's sports next. I mean, and I hate to say it like that because there's so many people affected. But I mean, now that you think about it, I mean, now that we've had this break, it gives you this perspective to look at sports as, not so much. If you're not in that lifestyle, it's not your lifestyle,
right?
But if you are, you realize how much of a lifestyle it really is.
Yeah.
If you're a basketball player right now and you're losing your salary or something like that, if you're a minor league baseball player, I mean, it may not. Again, to other people, I'm a teacher right now, so I'm not time off. Ha, great,
Yeah,
I'm not worried about it. Unless it cuts into just a large amount of my time and quote unquote salary. Right. But if I'm an athlete, if I'm depending on what sport, I either have a large interest in this or really no interest. But that again, I feel for those people, man, that have to make some of those decisions of, do training, taking care of their kids, taking care of traveling, I couldn't imagine being in the NFL, the new CBA that they just signed. Oh, yeah. I couldn't imagine being in there right now and then worrying about some of the things that you have to worry about.
That's when I started actually taking some of this just a little bit more serious than I had been. Mm-hmm. Because, we were told, I think at one point it was a hoax. But, right. You know what I'm saying? So,
that's great.
But it was when like South by Southwest started shutting down, and then all these things. When money starts getting, when people start losing money like that and shutting things down, then there is something serious going on. But so to your point though, do you feel like there's going to be a better appreciation of sports once it comes back?
Yeah. Well, I just think that it's. Let me give you this example. Mm-hmm. Okay, so teaching junior high kids. And we've gotten this new weight room and everything. And when one of Bob Stoops' biggest thing was how clean the locker room looked. And so one of my big things for our kids is our locker room always needs to look and smell clean. Right. You walk in our locker room right now, it's going to look and smell clean. It's not going to be the cleanest locker room in the world, but it's not going to be completely dirty either. I mean, we're going to have things in order, where things are assigned. It looks clean. For me now, it makes it easier as a teacher to say, guys, you see why I say these things now? Mm-hmm. Do you see why I talk about hygiene? Do you see why I talk about, what are spraying the lockers down, spraying down every equipment after every day, spraying blah, 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 cleaning our toilets and stuff like that. You don't see the quote unquote value in those things. Those kids don't. Right. Until they hear something like that. And then it should hopefully just make us all like, we've got to keep this place. Like, this is our health. This is our life that we've got. We're going to spend a lot of time in this place. We've got to take care of it, take care of each other.
That's been something I've been kind of wondering lately is how much are the kids aware of what's going on right now? Are they?
Plenty. Almost too aware.
I feel like my kids are all old. They're 8, 19, 20, 21. So they, of course they know everything that's going on. But as a younger kid, I would feel like there's probably a little anxiety because they don't know exactly what's going on, but they probably don't know the extent of how like everything could be affected by what's going on.
I don't think they're necessarily, they don't know. Yes, you're right. They don't know the big picture. Mm-hmm. They're just worried about somebody coughing on them getting sick.
Right. Yeah. And so what do you do with, do you want to share with them the big picture, or do you want to kind of keep them in that little bubble?
So what I did,
because you have children too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have JD3.
I have him. For him, I want him to know the truth as far as like if it's going to affect me or not. Which for now, again, as a teacher, I think most teachers would feel the same way. As we finish the majority of our work.
Yeah.
I think just give us a couple more weeks. If you do give us a couple more weeks off, great. I'm ready to go. It doesn't. Yeah. I'd just rather knock those days out and get to summer.
Yeah.
But before we went to break, what I told my kids was, one, if you have any parent that's affected by this, tell them I apologize. Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry. Not that I have anything to do with it, but just that my heart goes out to them if they have lost money, lost a job. Hell, I've lost money in this deal. Mm-hmm. Just for my savings or whatnot. But I look at it, I hate to even be greedy in that sense, because I have to think I'm healthy. JD3's healthy. If that's the only thing that I've got to do is keep saving better and put my money in a better place, I'm doing okay. So, but for them, it was just that talk of, if their parents were affected, I apologize. The hygiene talk, guys, especially young men, this is especially why we talk about showering, so important, and blah, 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 blah. And I know you guys are at that age where, you don't really, and I was that way. I just wanted to play sports. I didn't think sweat was bacteria. Hell, how am I supposed to know? I just wanted to play basketball. I feel clean. I'm all right. Yeah. Quick little 30-second shower. I'll be all right. In and out, It's not that way, So just making sure that they understand the importance of those things, leading by example. Keeping my stuff clean, make desk and area like that all clean, staying organized, showing them the disinfectants and things that I have available, wet wipes, just that's the big deal, because after a while, you have those kids for so long, they really just become a part of you. So, they're listening to everything you say, seeing everything you do. You can't hide anything from them, so you might as well just be good.
So what are you going to do if we're quarantined? How are you going to pass the time?
Day 4 of quarantine, I'll probably be, bouncing off the wall. No, I'm kidding.
We can still podcast.
Yes, that would be awesome.
I think I can pull you up on Skype.
We're going to Skype each other, FaceTime.
Yeah, we'll. Hey, if that happens, if we're quarantined, I say we podcast every day.
See,
I'll have the time.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Most people may be depressed. I would be excited about the quarantine. Okay, I would be hype about.
I'm a homebody, so
I ain't tripping about the quarantine.
I'm good with that. But I don't want to make light of all the people who would be affected by all that. But I'm sure there's a lot of people like us who are like, send me home.
Yeah, no, I'm all good. And I've seen a lot of. I hate that for people and their jobs, and I hate to even make jokes about it. But with all the bars and restaurants shutting down, I'm gonna have to. Go get some IHOP here in a minute, man, because they're pancakes. Some of them,
they got that cereal pancakes.
Ooh, buddy, I got to go hit them up before get the recipe.
Yeah,
y'all should. Hey, bro, y'all ain't gonna be open. Y'all don't need it. Let me.
Yeah, IHOP, hook us up. We're doing a free commercial for you right now, because we will eat that.
Oh man, I need to go hit that up. Hit a few other places. Panda Buffet. We're gonna hit them. Hey, they talked about it. Wanting us to do a pod there. So shout out to them.
I'm in.
Yeah.
JD doesn't have any trouble getting me to do food pods.
Yeah. Brother, their coconut shrimp there is amazing. It's like this sugary glaze.
Yeah.
It's so good. Their sushi's good there. They'll do the Mongolian style cooking on the table.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love it.
It's not a table, but whatever. But yeah, that's my place, bro.
Nice.
I'm a hot and sour soup guy. I could go on and on. They got the soft serve ice cream at the end.
Now, is this a buffet style?
Oh yeah. Oh, so it's buffet, but they're real deal. So
I think with that's a good idea to go to right now.
Yeah. You know the buffet is popping when there's no parking spots at certain times.
Oh, for sure.
You know the buffet is popping.
For sure. That's like that. That's the way I looked at eating in New Orleans. Like, there's tons of great places, but if you went somewhere where there was no wait, no, that can't be good.
Can't be.
That can't be good.
That's a good point. So it's popping. So
Yeah.
got to hit up that. Got to order me some Jimmy John's.
Right.
Before I'm gonna have to. We'll have to do like a top 10. Maybe that's what we should do. Like a top 10 Norman foods.
Ooh,
Serve
Tara
everybody.
Hamara's got to go on my
Man,
list.
You're a big fan, aren't you?
Oh.
I think Baker Mayfield's a Tara Hamara fan. We'll have to hit him.
Well,
up
they,
about that.
I'm diabetic. They have the. This is why I shouldn't have been all, thirsting over some IHOP. But they have what is it called? It's basically an omelet, but it has all the fixins in it at Tara Hamara, and nobody else has that. So I love it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I could go on and on about Norman food, fam. just right around here.
Yeah.
I mean, just like I said, there's just
Pizza
so
shuttle.
much.
That's the
New
biggest
York
thing.
Pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, we could get one of those huge pizzas.
The cinnamon sticks is probably what made me diabetic.
Yeah.
No, but I think everybody who has ever lived in Norman at one time or another always says, "Man, I miss the pizza shuttle."
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've said before on the pod, after midnight.
Yeah.
Best made after midnight. The taste is really hitting.
This
for
is
some
true.
reason.
Because I think that's exactly why I ordered it so many times, was it would be like 3 a.m. and they'd be open.
Life.
Yeah.
You were up studying, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Bible
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, Bible.
Yeah, I understand.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, I think that wraps up was there any other breaking news Sooner-wise?
I think we're good. Just now that we're talking about food, we're going to have to go eat. So,
You know it. I'm down. Let's go.
do it. Let's do it.
All
Fullback
right.
you.
Fullback you.